Good morning, gardening friends. I'm out here at 5:30 in the morning. The bugs are also already out because today is going to be really hot and I just don't function well in heat. So I thought I'd get out here early and get a few things done before the heat gets to me. So in today's video, I'm going to show you a couple of updates on projects that I've been working on. The greenhouse pad right here in front of me and the barn slope garden back there. I hope you'll enjoy seeing the progress that's been made on these two projects. I know I'm very excited about them. So let's get going. The first update I want to show you is the greenhouse pad. As you can see, it's looking a little bit different than the last time I showed you this space. Came in and put down weed cloth. Show it to you over here. I still have some finishing touches to do, but this heavy duty weed cloth, and then topped it with gravel, this pea gravel, and it makes a nice clean surface to walk on, and it'll keep the weeds from growing up through the hard pack below. Got some rock work to do back there to make it look a little pretty. And yeah, so this whole greenhouse pad has been basically transformed into a nice clean space. I'm going to be using this greenhouse pad mainly to store materials that need to be planted in various parts of the garden. The other major development behind all of these pots, let me get back here, is we installed 3 new raised garden beds. I'll come around here, show you. So these are 8-foot long raised beds. As you can see, the weed mat, 3 of these. And they sit on the edge of the rock wall, and ignore the overgrown pond garden. They sit on the edge of the wall here. And part of the reason I did this was to make my husband happy. He is convinced that somebody is going to walk off the edge of this wall and fall into the pond garden. So this is as much a visual barrier as a physical one, but also it gives me some space to play around with annual flowers and have some fun. And my plan is to plant these up next year. I will not be planting these this year. I have enough on my plate as it is. Plant these up next year so that they can be enjoyed from this side, but as well from the pond. If you're down in the pond, I will have things that trail over the edges of these planters, and just be a nice, pretty space to play in here. So yeah, the gravel goes all the way around. I'll take you down back here. Gravel goes all the way around the greenhouse. Greenhouse, there we go. Like I said before, I have some rock work to do back here to hide the liner and make it look a little pretty. I have a table here where I can store, in this case, these are some perennials that I'm growing to put out into the garden. I think I originally had tagged most of these for the Pollinator Garden, but I think I'm going to put some in the kitchen view garden as well. And yeah, so all these plants do have a place. These 2 fruit trees here, swing around. This is an espaliered apple tree with 6 different varieties of apples, and swing around, an espaliered pear tree with 4 different varieties of pears. These are going to end up in the vegetable garden in a new area that I will be developing, and I'll talk to you about at some point later. But I'm basically going to bring my fruit trees inside the fenced garden in an attempt to keep them away from the deer. The rest of these plants here in this corner, these are all pond garden plants. These are all plants that like wet soil, damp soil, and do really well in wet soil. So I have to get going and getting these planted. But for now, here they'll sit. where I can take care of them and make sure they get adequate water. Swing around here. These plants are all plants that I got from the New Hampshire Tree Nursery. Yeah, it's probably 50, 60 of them. And the vast majority of these are going to go into the extension of the native shrub border up behind the barn. And then I have a few trees here that I will definitely have to get planted in the coming weeks. I'm pretty excited to have finished this part of the project. There's still a bit to do to pretty it up, and eventually this will all attach to the path that goes behind the house here. But for now, I cannot worry about weeds anymore in this space and spend time pulling invasive weeds. So that makes me feel pretty good. So now I'm going to take you to the barn slope garden, kitchen view garden, and show you the progress there. But before we get there, we'll walk by the pollinator garden that I have done nothing to this year. Just been busy with other projects. I will get to at least part of it this year. As a result, it's a bit overgrown, but there's still lots of cool stuff to see in there. And it keeps me hopeful for what it could eventually be once I get it all dug up and put back together the way I want it. So let's take a walk this way and see what's happening. We'll say hello to Miss Susie, who, as always, accompanies me on my garden walks. All right, so here is the pollinator garden. From a distance, it looks, like it could be an interesting space, but if you look really closely, you'll see lots of weeds, like this grass here that's growing up that I need to start pulling. But, like I said, there are lots of little gems in here, this nepeta, however you want to pronounce it, still growing very lushly. There's lots of this Carthusian pink that will definitely be kept in, the newer space once I dig it all out. It's really pretty, bright pink flowers. Siberian iris that's already gone by. And, oh yeah, another one of my favorite flowers. These rose campions. Aren't they pretty? I love this electric pink color. So I try to have lots of these. In amongst all of it, you'll notice these purple flowers. Get up in here. This is what I think is the clustered bellflower. And although it's very pretty, you can see it is everywhere. It just spreads all throughout the garden. So it has completely invaded the garden. Little Heliopsis. Don't remember the name of this one. That's obviously a good plant. Yeah, so it's just invaded the entire garden, and it's discouraging. So that's going to have to get all dug out. See, up here is mostly bee balm. So again, a lot of that's going to get chopped out. Get to the the gas tank. And on this side, I have Sensation honeysuckle in full bloom. And on this side, I think this is Major Wheeler. Have to look and make sure. But again, in pretty good flower. And that's starting to do a pretty good job of covering up where the gas tank has to be. We have more geraniums, more nepeta. That'll also stay. Yeah. It does look very weedy. There's some Helianthus up there, the yellow. Oh, and here's I think it's a bridal something mullein. I'll have to look that up. But I planted seeds in here, and they keep popping up in random places. Here's the rock staircase. I've actually been working on this, cleaning it up and resetting some stones. It's not meant to be a, proper to code staircase, more of a way just to display some sedums and hens and chicks, as you can see. And then a way for me to shortcut through this garden up to the barn. Unfortunately, I started work on this and then we had yet again more torrential rain. So it started washing out some of the soil down here to the bottom. Yeah, so I've got to put that all back and continue planting in between these rocks to stabilize the soil. Let's climb up here. And here we are at the barn slope garden. So to give you some perspective, I'll swing over here. This is the top of the wall, the stone wall that looks down over the patio behind the house. 2 tiers here. I've been working to add a few more shrubs in here and fill it in a little bit. And then mainly working to get this bed established, which was quite a bit of work. This garden is basically all fill from when the barn was built, so not particularly nutritious, good soil. So I've had to add a lot of compost, organic matter to the top of this to get it sort of worthy of the trees and shrubs that I'm putting in here now. My goal with this space, because it can be seen from the kitchen, so from that viewpoint, it's part of the kitchen view garden, if you will, is to fill it with lots of different colors and textures that play against the red of the barn. Tried to do a lot of white flowers or very light colored flowers, if the shrub flowers, or foliage that stands out against the red barn, and also incorporate a different selection of textures and shapes of foliage. And hopefully um, that will be accomplished in a few years once these start to fill out and the textures play against each other. So let's take a look at what I've planted in here. We'll start with the showstopper, if you will, the main attraction in this bed. It's a Royal Star Magnolia, and I planted this, swing over this way, so that from the kitchen, it effectively blocks the view into the shed row here on the barn where we store equipment. So that way, when I'm looking out the kitchen, I don't see immediately all the equipment under the shed row. Behind that, down here below, I planted a rhododendron, put the name below. It's white flowered, and that will kind of fill in the space below the magnolia so that the view from the kitchen is sort of solid and covers up this space here. Behind that, along the barn, I planted 3 Pyrus japonica. These are Catura. I'll put the name below. Beautiful, beautiful plants. When the new foliage comes out, it's bright red, much, much brighter than even this here. This is actually starting to fade now that the foliage is maturing, but beautiful plants. Behind that, or alongside the Pyrus, I planted a double file viburnum, and this variety is Mauritii. Beautiful white flowers. It will grow to quite a large shrub and take up a lot of visual space up against this red wall. So with the white flowers, it'll be very pretty. And then next to that is mountain laurel called Elf. It's a smaller mountain laurel. It'll still get a few feet tall, but again, it'll have really pretty flowers in the spring. The next row or collection below these down the hill, this is the whipcord western red cedar. Love this thing. It's like a little mop. And then a Nishiki willow, which will provide a lot of great contrast to the green and against the red of the barn. There's a Mugo pine. This one's called Ensi. Adorable little thing. And then I have a couple of euonymus gold splash. Again, the contrast in textures and foliage, color, the Nishiki willow and the green behind it. I think that'll be really pretty. And then a cotoneaster. This one is Coral Beauty. Can't wait to see this one spread out. A little globe blue spruce. This will form a really pretty mound of blue foliage. Again, next to the foliage of the Nishiki willow, the cotoneaster, the euonymus, and the whipcord. I think it's just going to form a really nice collection of mounds of different foliage. So here's the second euonymus. Ooh, and there's Susie. So let me back up a little bit here. Hey, Suze. I started digging the path. A lot of digging. Oh, and Susie's going to sit here and demonstrate. So this is where the path will cut through the garden. And as you can see, the weeds have taken every opportunity they can to grow. So the path will continue along here. And we're getting into the shade garden here. So the path will continue along this hill, and this hill is where I'm going to be planting daylilies to hold the slope. I'm also going to be putting some of the hydrangeas here, and the name is escaping me at the moment. Yep, Annabelle, there we go. Annabelle hydrangeas in this corner here. And then the rest will be daylilies to accommodate the falling snow off the roof so that it doesn't damage anything of value. And as you can see, the weeds are starting already, but some of this is actually intentional. These are daffodils that have been relocated to the slope to mingle among the eventual daylily field. So there are some that are not weeds. So the path will continue here. I have to chop this out and terrace this a little bit. I'll walk this way here. So I've got to chop this. You can see the white string here. I've got to chop this out and put some rocks along here to create a little bit of a terrace wall. And then come around to the next bit of planting that I want to show you. Somebody has been digging here. Anyway, so this is a Kousa dogwood that I planted on the far corner. This is the western corner of the barn. And I've got some stakes to hold it, keep it upright while it roots. And then I planted 3 little lime prime hydrangeas here. This is just the beginning of the planting in this space, which is going to be expanded to get rid of this green here too as well. But I needed to put something in here to start stabilizing the soil. And something has been digging in here. I put rocks there to prevent it from digging. I suspect a woodchuck. Oh, look at that. I did that too. Darn it. Anyway, so I got to go repair that. Yeah, so 3 little lime prime hydrangeas here. And eventually this whole garden space will be filled with shrubs and pretty flowers. Well, the sun is up now and it's starting to get warm. So I'm going to go in and change my clothes and get out into the vegetable garden and get some work done before it gets too hot. That's it for today's video. I just wanted to give you a quick update on a couple of the projects that I've been working on. And yeah, thank you for joining me. I'm going to leave you with some shots of the shade garden this morning because it's looking so pretty. Lots of pretty stuff in here. But thank you for joining me, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.